States embassy.
Officials from more than 30 countries are there. The relocated embassy is a highly significant symbolic move for the Trump administration. It reflects Israel's wish that Jerusalem be recognized as its capital.
But the opening on the 70th anniversary of Israel's establishment provoked another day of angry Palestinian protests. Officials in Gaza said Israeli troops on the border killed at least 37 demonstrators. That would make this Gaza's deadliest day in nearly 4 years. The protesters want East Jerusalem to be the capital of a future Palestinian state. Let's go now to Seth Doan, who's inside the new embassy in Jerusalem. Seth, good morning.
Good morning. This is just getting underway now. A opening of a U.S. embassy certainly does not generally get this much attention. Hundreds of people have gathered here. They're just watching this ceremony begin here. Is right in front of the U.S. embassy, the new U.S. embassy here in Jerusalem, where U.S. Ambassador David Friedman will be working from. The U.S. government, the Trump administration, says that this is simply recognizing a reality, that the U.S. government was already treating Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and that this simply moves the embassy here. But Palestinians are outraged by it. They say that moving the embassy here shows the U.S. taking Israel's side in a city that is contested, that is claimed by both parties. Earlier in the day, we spoke with senators who are here as part of a congressional delegation. I have to speak quietly because they're now singing the national anthem here. We spoke with senators here who reminded us that it was a bipartisan Congress that had agreed in 1995 to move the U.S. embassy here, and that move had been delayed every 6 months because subsequently presidents every 6 months signed the security waiver to delay the move. You can hear now they're singing the national anthem. A number of dignitaries have gathered here, including Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, who's also in charge of the Middle East peace plan, putting that together. He will be speaking today. Ivanka Trump, his wife, is here, and also Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, is here as well. Gail?
Seth Doan reporting from Jerusalem. Thank you, Seth. Officials in Gaza say Israel's military has killed at least 37 Palestinian demonstrators this morning. Holly Williams is in Gaza City tracking the protests. Holly, what's the latest there? I hear they're calling this the deadliest day so far, with the death toll right now at 37.
Yeah, good morning. This week marks the culmination of 6 weeks of protest here in the Gaza Strip. And today we believe that there are tens of thousands of Palestinians demonstrating all the way along the fence just behind me that separates Gaza from Israel. Today we have seen Israeli soldiers using drones to drop tear gas canisters on the protesters and firing live ammunition. We think that the death toll from these several weeks of protests now stands at around 80, and we have seen several casualties being taken away in ambulances today, including some with gunshot wounds. Now, most of the Palestinian protesters seem to be peaceful, but some are burning tires. We've seen young men throwing rocks with slingshots, and some are attempting to get across the border. Palestinians have condemned the move of the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, in part because they hope that East Jerusalem will one day be their capital if they ever get their own state. But I think these protests are also fueled by feelings of impotent anger. The Gaza Strip has been blockaded now for more than 10 years, and the economy here is on the verge of full collapse, according to the United Nations. John?
Holly Williams for us in Gaza. Thanks, Holly. More Palestinian protests are going on in the West Bank, much closer to Jerusalem. CBS Evening News anchor Jeff Glor is in the West Bank city of Ramallah in the middle of an exchange between demonstrators and Israeli troops.
You see the Israelis now charging forward as Palestinians throw rocks at them. They've been firing tear gas at times, also rubber bullets, to try to push Palestinians back into where Ramallah is, where the bigger crowd is coming from. This has been a back and forth that we've been watching about an hour. The Israelis firing back right now. And now, gas. And as we watch all this, protesters are promising even bigger demonstrations later into today and tomorrow. Nora, back to you.
All right, Jeff, thank you.
Very scary situation.
I know, we
there.
should
You
know.
see that Jeff and his crew are okay.
They're okay there, yeah.
This is an extraordinary move in the Trump presidency. If you think about in the last 2 weeks, we've got a North Korea movement, you've got the ripping up of the Iran deal, and now this move. This, you know, when President Trump talks about America first, that's kind of abstract. This is a concrete movement today that has led to a concrete reaction, and so we see the real permanent effects of the Trump doctrine now taking place right before our eyes.
Fulfilling a promise.
But it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because critics of this move say that it puts, can you trust the word of the United States? Are we considered an honest broker going back on this? That'll be interesting to see how this plays out in the long term.
Yeah.
Jeff, thank you very much again. Coverage will continue throughout the day on our local news station, this CBS station, and on our 24-hour streaming network. That would be CBSN.
And Jeff will have much more on tonight's CBS Evening News, where he anchors from Jerusalem. Many of you will now return to CBS This Morning.
This has been a CBS News Special Report. I'm Nora O'Donnell with Gail King and John Dickerson.
For news 24 hours a day, go to CBSNews.com.
Some of controversial comments by a White House staff member about Senator John McCain's health. In a closed-door meeting Thursday, communications aide Kelly